I own a 2005 GMC Sierra that doesn't just have the ability to turn its front wheels. No. This is a Quadrasteer, which means my GMC has four-wheel steer. Oh yeah. Look at that. It's so cool. Now, because of the modified rear end for the rear steering, the Quadrasteer's got a wider composite bed, so this won't rust out. And this is also a 1500, but in HD, so it got the beefier suspension and tow package. This is also one of the coolest option GMT 800 trucks I've seen. So you get your heated leather seats, you have a sunroof, Bose audio, dual zone climate, steering wheel controls, and this truck has the integrated front bumper fog lights, so a lot of Denali-esque features, but you get the work lights up top and the heavy-duty 8-lug aluminum wheels, just like the work truck. This truck has it all, except it needs more power. The Quadrasteer is just straight up slow. Now, luckily, my Sierra came with the almighty 6-liter LS engine, and being a 2005, it got the updated and stronger connecting rods. This truck also came with the super strong 4L80E transmission, so it's only really missing one thing, and that would be a HELLCAT Supercharger. Come here. From a TRX. That's right, we are HELLCAT Supercharge swapping my Quadrasteer Sierra, and this is gonna give it all the power and all the that you could ever imagine. So let's get right to it and see, how do you even fit this thing in here? Whoa, what is this? Come on, baby, let's go. I'm gonna pull this hose off of the radiator. I'll swing this out of the way. All right, I've disconnected the mass airflow sensor plug as well. And let's pull this air intake out. This big old thing should come off as one assembly. There we go. Yeah, all right, cool. Look at this. There's a big silencer on there. It's a gigantic thing. I love factory stickers, but we're gonna be saying goodbye to this guy. I wanna get this gigantic fan shroud out of the way as well. We're gonna have to start taking a look at accessories in the front. All this will just make it easier to work on. We got some clips out of the side, and it should pop right up. This is a clamshell fan shroud, so it's in two pieces. There's one. I don't think there's a world where I put a HELLCAT blower on this and leave this mechanical fan. Show you a little trick if you don't have the tool to remove this, especially if you're just getting rid of it anyway. I already loosened this a little bit, but with the air hammer bit, we can turn this guy. That should be enough. Yeah, there we go. Now we can spin this guy off. We're also gonna replace the water pump. We're going LS3 style. So just spin this thing. Eventually it's gonna fall off. Like that. Good timing. So that ugly guy is gone. And then this is the other clamshell for the shroud. Man, we're getting rid of so much stuff. So much room for activities. We can do a supercharger and a couple of turbos in here. Next, let's remove our serpentine belt. This thing is definitely never going back on again. Goodbye, belt. I'm gonna remove this alternator next. A couple of bolts. One of the easiest alternators of all time. Go, sweet. And I've already disconnected it. There's no battery anymore. It went bad, I got a new one on the way. But now we can do this little pry job, like that. More prying on this side. There we go. See, alternator. We will be reusing this, so we actually will see you later. We've cleared out a ton of room, so it is time to get this intake off. I'm going around just disconnecting everything that's connected to the intake, like this big old harness. This is our purge valve. We'll get this out of here. Let's pull that up. We're gonna run the HELLCAT fuel injectors and rail so we can disconnect all of our factory ones. Next, we have our fuel line. We need to disconnect from the rail, so we're gonna use this little tool to release a clip, and this will pull right off like that. And no, I didn't just get fuel in my eye. I'm fine. I've detached everything from the intake. Let's remove some bolts. All the bolts are loose. Intake should come right out. Oh, there we go. Yeah, get out of here, intake. You're done. You're done intaking. You don't need any more air. Oh, it is dirty in here. Oh, man. Bye, guys. This truck's from Georgia, so I imagine that's what it would say. Bye, bye. Ooh, look at that. Definitely lots of while you're in there. Straight up got a leaf trying to get in my engine. I'm gonna have to vacuum all of this out, and we kept on getting knock sensor codes, and you have to have the intake off to replace the knock sensors. Okay, I could probably imagine why we're getting codes. Wow, that's some brittle stuff right there. So definitely get some new knock sensors. There we go. There they are. Let's get some vacuuming going. Oh yeah. Get out of here, leaves. Oh, this makes me feels so much better. Probably had some slight valve cover leaks as well just over the years. I've blocked up the intake ports in the head, and we're gonna go ahead and spray our release and let that dwell and soak into all of this gunk and make this look so good. This stuff's been soaking for a while, so we can probably start cleaning. I'm gonna remove this harness though too. There we go. Yeah. When you replace these knock sensors on these old GM trucks, you gotta do the harness as well. That's probably the issue with most of them anyway. We're gonna use an LSC drilled brush, get this real nice. This is gunky, let me tell you. Ooh, she's gonna look good though. Now I use release on pretty much everything in the shop and at my house because it is an amazing all surface cleaner. It was developed for aerospace and it's made in America not too far from me, right up to the north in Wisconsin. Because it's an all surface cleaner, you don't need a different product for different materials. So we're gonna safely clean up our chrome and our glass with the exact same product. Check this out, our glass is pretty dirty, and we go over to this spot, perfectly clean, streak free. Check out this nasty lift arm, we'll hit it with some release. I'm not even gonna let this dwell, we're just gonna give it a wipe. Look at that, guys. Look at that. Release is also one of my favorite interior cleaners. Look what it does to the leather on my Trans Am. This is a delicate tan leather. It cleans it right up without damaging anything. And then here's over 30-year-old light gray cloth. I thought this was done, and Release practically made it disappear. Now, not only can you use this in the shop, but you can use it at home as well. Look at this nasty grill, a little bit of Release. We wipe it right off. This also works on countertops, whether it's wood or stone. It's super safe. It cleans everything right away. Look at that. Sometimes I just walk around the office and just clean everything. Garbage cans looking a little dirty. Not anymore. Release. Oh, random second gen Trans Am wheels just sitting in the office. They were looking kind of dirty. Not anymore. Release. Is your editor looking a little dirty? Release.
Dude, what are you doing?
Now there's a few ways to buy Release. You can get their pre-mixed 32-ounce spray bottle, and you can also get their concentrate. So 1 gallon of these will make about 80 of these for only around $1 each. And now they have their ready-to-use gallons, so you can just pour this straight in. You don't have to do any mixing at all. This pump sprayer is so great. I use this on the floor in the shop a lot. And so I'm gonna drop you guys a couple of links down below. You can buy Release right from their website. Use code LEGIT10 for 10% off, and you can get this on Amazon as well, so you'll have it right away. I've been working directly with Release for years, and it's an amazing company with an amazing product, so I hope you love it as much as I do. Disclaimer, no editors were hurt during the filming of this ad.
This isn't a voice, you're literally standing right in front of me, dude.
I know, and you're looking pretty clean. All right, well, we got a clean Max, and I just finished wiping off the valley plate, so check it out. And here she is, all cleaned up. That is much better than before. Now let's get our knock sensors out. There they are. Oh yeah, this one probably did not work at all. It's most likely where our code was coming from. Guys, check this out. I think I figured out why this valley plate gasket is leaking. These bolts are totally loose. That's insane. I didn't do anything to these. That's nuts. Let's see. Okay, that one's tight. That one's tight. Tight, tight. Maybe it was just those two. Oh no, this one's loose too. Yeah, weird. I was gonna say these valley plate gaskets never really leak, but yeah, if you don't tighten the bolts, they will. Either way, we are replacing. Did all this cleaning. Not going through that again, especially once the blower's on. Pull the rest of these out. There we go. And now this should come out. Do a little prying. There we go. Okay, there we are. Valley plate out. We get to see inside of our engine a little bit. Let's take a look at the camshaft. Wow, that looks really, really nice. No wear on the lobes, perfect. Get rid of this gasket. Two other things that can leak back here and require the intake or the supercharger to come off would be the cam sensor and the oil pressure switch. Oh, come on. Did I seriously just do that? I did. Where are you, Bolt? Where are you? I found it. I found it. It was over yonder. But anyway, let's pull this out and pry this up. It's getting stuck on the O-ring. There we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we need to replace this. And let's pull out our oil pressure switch as well. This requires a special socket. Okay, and then we can twist it out by hand. And these have factory thread sealant on them, and they go bad every once in a while. So during my cleaning, I removed this front cylinder head crossover tube, and this is for coolant. And because you can flip around the LS cylinder heads, they have this provision in the back. They are blocked off. But they do sell a kit that connects all 4 points. That way you get better coolant flow, especially to the rear cylinders. I think that's really important, so I've ordered that. It's not gonna be until tomorrow. and I'm getting a little nervous about something. And that would be whether or not this blower even fits. So we have about 10 inches roughly, but then we need to factor in the adapter plates as well. While we wait for the crossover tubes to arrive, I'm gonna go ahead and install our adapter plates. We'll take some more measurements. That goes about right there. And this one does not go like that at all. It goes more like that. Cool. Wow, it already looks pretty sweet. But although it's super heavy, I think we need to test fit the blower because wow, we might have to mess with the cowl here, I don't know. So the kit is to attach the blower to the engine, but it has nothing to do with what kind of vehicle you're putting it in. Like, you know, a truck has a chance, like a Camaro or something has no chance of fitting this. All right, so I'm gonna take some measurements here. Oh man, yeah, it's like 9.5-ish to here. Now this is lower in the back, but how much of it? I measured the cowl going forward is about 6.5 inches. I don't know, which would put us here on the high spot. I don't know if this is gonna fit, but I think we're just gonna give it a try right now and figure out what we gotta do next. No reason not to get the valley plate on before we test fit our supercharger. There are some gaskets on the bottom. They just kind of pop out like that. Perfect. These are rock hard, definitely leaking. With our seal driver, we can install our new seal. And I cleaned up the underside as well, so that is done. We have our seals, we have our new valley plate gasket. I just ordered a new cam sensor. That's in, our oil pressure switch is in, so we're gonna get some MB sunroof grease on this seal. This has gotta be involved in the old Sierra project. The rear coolant tube shouldn't get in the way of the blower, so we'll install those when they come in. But I want everything else to be as it's going to be, just in case there's a clearance issue, but there shouldn't be. I mean, with the sensors, there probably will be with all sorts of other things. Sensors in. Now we can install our oil pressure switch. And if there isn't factory sealant on there, add some thread sealant. It should go in kind of tough like that. You can use your special sockets. They have these at the auto parts store. And just tighten her up. See, the inside's a little special. Put these guys tight, we'll get some good clicks. Oh yeah, I love a good click. With our new gasket on the engine, we can reinstall our cleaned up valley plate. And push it down over the internal seals. With our bolts in, we'll give this a tighten. All right, we don't want this to ever loosen up again, so I'm gonna go ahead and torque all of these bolts now. New knock sensors going in. These don't seal against anything. They just simply thread into the block and they sense vibration or knock. So if your engine is pre-detonating or knocking, those sensors will pick it up and report back to the ECU and retard the timing. I'll torque these guys too. Done. All right, let's get those adapters back in and gosh, I don't know how I'm getting that blower on. We're gonna be running a completely different alternator and power steering pump bracket, so I'm gonna remove this right now so we can fit the blower in here. I have my power steering pump pulley puller tool connected. Just tighten it up right now and it's gonna draw this out. We're almost there. And then it's just gonna eventually just kind of fall off. Yeah, like that. Now we can get to all the bolts for the bracket. Lots of big bolts. Get rid of this gigantic bracket. One more. Oh yeah, one more. That's very loose. All right, perfect. Look at all that room now. Now that room is fine and dandy, but yeah, this is gonna be really tough, guys. Keep in mind, this is without the adapters that are gonna go on the cylinder heads. And look at this. Oh man, okay. Yeah, I mean, the most important part is gonna be from about here-ish back. So this will be fun. All right, we are ready to test fit, so we'll go ahead and install our adapters. Hang on, before we get the blower on, let's just get the water pump out of the way too. I'm gonna replace this anyway. And it holds on this tensioner and the thermostat as well. That should be it. There we go. All right, water pump coming out, making a mess. Oh yeah. Now I know what you guys are thinking, Alex, you should put a cam in it. And I hear you, but I just wanna get this thing HELLCAT Supercharged first, and then in a future video, we're gonna talk valve train. All right, people, it's time for a test fit. No gaskets, no bolts, no nothing. This is Cody, by the way. He's joined the team recently, and we're breaking him in with something that's probably gonna break both of our backs in half. Here we go. Oh man, okay. Yes, a cherry picker may help. We'd have to take the hood off. There is a plate for this, but we're never gonna fit anything in there. Like, this is, I think, the only way, if there is a way, I don't know. All right, ready? All right, we'll go in stages here. Probably should have moved this coolant tank. If that breaks, we will replace it. All right. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, now we're on the plate. We're already hitting right here where the coolant lines go in for the intercooler. That is definitely hitting. Yeah, so right now only 6 of the intake runners on the head are, you know, covered by blower. 6 cylinders would be boosted at this point. Yeah, I can't hit that. Okay, think that's it. Yeah, I'm hitting the cowl. We're gonna have to do some body modifications here. Okay. Okay, I got a little bit further back. Great. Yeah, it's not lining up, guys. It is straight up hitting the cowl. It does not fit. It's too tall. I'm no stranger to a supercharger not fitting the cowl on my SVT Lightning, another blue pickup truck of the same era. I had to beat up the bottom of the cowl and then repaint it and make it look nice. In this case, we may have to go the cutting route because I think we just need way too much. I don't think we'll be able to hammer that up enough to fit. I've made a mark so we know exactly where to cut. Something I want to double check is that the hood closes. Let's see, we'll do this slow. Okay, that's stage 1. Yeah. There's a Hellcat blower under the hood. Engine is protected. It's time to cut, guys. It's time to cut. I knew there was a chance of this going in. I knew. I was just kind of hopeful that being a truck, there'd be a little bit more room. We're like a ½ inch or so off. It stinks, but that's okay. We're gonna make this look good, but we gotta cut into my Sierra. I'm gonna try and be a little artiste about this. It should be pretty thin. Oh yeah, we're already through. This is super thin. That's great. Like a rock. They're built Chevy tough. Not even neither one of those brands, but it's okay. Professional grade, you know? I think I'm an artist. Totally not an artist. My kids would laugh at me right now. Oh, battery's dying. Darn it, I'm in a good spot. I got a new battery. Oh, the light one's starting to die. All right, I think I have my basic outline. That's good. I'm using a different tool now. Now that I have my outline, I think this might go quicker. Don't do this without a guard on, okay, people? Seriously. This show's just for entertainment. Do not copy this part of the show. I'm through pretty good. I'm all the way through here. That's honestly the easy part. Now I have to go all the way back here. I don't want to nick the harness, so I have a big piece of metal plate here weighing it down. Yeah, this part really stinks. Stuff's gonna burn my hair off. All right, guys, here we go. I cut it all up as far back as I think we need to go. And now we're gonna pull this piece of metal off, well, actually down, and then we'll be able to cut another line and then make this pretty. Even though you won't see it with the blower there, but anyway, yes. Coming down, there we go. A little straggler piece there. Ah, there she is. So we do have wiper linkage right here, but I don't think that'll get in our way, I hope. We're gonna have to work the wipers and make sure this doesn't come down anymore. There is our truck. I've hooked up some power to the car. We wanna see what these wipers do. Okay, yeah, so that is gonna be the lowest point, and we can round those corners and gain a little bit more clearance. I hope the blower doesn't hit anything with the wipers though, because then that would make cutting that like kind of pointless. All right, I'm gonna make 2 cuts here, guys, so I can fold this out of the way. We're gonna do one right in the middle. Not hit the coolant tube. Okay. All right, a piece of my beautiful blue Sierra. Came up with an idea. I think I can actually bend this back so we don't have to make a cut at the end of the firewall. So it'll be like a nice rolled edge, be like factory. Oh, but I gotta like bench press this up. A very awkward position to be in right now in my Sierra. I wouldn't have it any other way. This is how you get to know your car, by the way. You gotta cut its cowl and then bench press its sheet metal up without trying to cut your face off. All right, we're gonna have to figure something else out. This is really difficult. But you know what's not difficult at all? Entering to win my GLS 63 AMG plus $5,000 cash. And every week or so, we switch up what gets you double the entry points at LegitStreetCars.com, link down below. And this week, it's our amazing wash mitt. This thing is so soft and so durable, it's gonna take all the dirt off your car. LSC foam cannon. Watch this, guys. Get your soap onto there. Give it a good rub. It is gentle yet effective, and we upgraded this bad boy. It's basically an LS Hellcat, but inside is a totally waterproof liner, so your hands stay nice and dry while you wash your car. Now, if you guys already have a wash mitt and you want to double your entry points, you can add our beautiful LegitStreetCars license plate to your cart. This guy will double everything that's in your cart. But we only have like 200 license plates left, so they will sell out soon, along with the foam cannons and the drying towels, all of which you'll need to wash your beautiful GLS 63 AMG if you enter to win at LegitStreetCars.com, link down below. Let's get back to the Sierra. All right, that was really not working, so we're gonna go the hammer route. Still got to know my Sierra inside and out. Well, after lots and lots of hammering, this is what we have. So I was able to roll this back so we have kind of a smoother edge. And I think this cut looks actually really, really nice. We're not done with it either. We're gonna get a little bit of rust converter in here. So this is gonna bond with anything that's unpainted and seal it off so it doesn't rust. It's a really nice big coat. I also shaved one of the corners of the wiper. I just have to activate it to get the other one, so that should have a little bit more clearance as well. We're all cleaned up in here, ready for another test fit. So we had to install these seals onto the adapter and on this side as well. And we're gonna go ahead and put a bunch of lube on these seals. So these we're gonna end up bolting to the head and leaving there. All right, here we go. This can be our final install of these parts onto our engine. And we actually get to bolt these in so they'll stay in place like that. I have the other side in as well, and a little 8mm ratcheting wrench really helps out. So there's no room to get a socket in here. Looks pretty. I got a little Loctite on these as well. Shouldn't need Loctite on stuff like this, but after seeing these Valley bolts kind of loose, like, rather be safe than sorry. Manhandled this thing back on. I pulled the dowel pins on the bottom of the blower and we lubricated the top seals so we can effectively just slide this back. That's actually really nice. On the Magnuson kit on my wife's supercharged Escalade, they actually give you a lube and they tell you to do that. Put it down and then slide it on the seals. But I mean, yeah, there'd be no way we could actually pick this up and just plop it down in place. It's impossible. All right, let's slide it back and hope that we don't hit the body of this car or anything else. I had to pull the harness up top, and because it wasn't going back all the way. Let's see now. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at, I went back too much. Oh, sweet. Okay, like right there-ish would be lined up. I just threaded in 2 bolts in the front, so this thing is in position. This is exactly where it would need to be. I do not like the wiring like that. I'm gonna unravel the entire harness, and I have to get it to fit in the back. There's gonna be room. I just think it has to be routed in a very specific location for the blower to fit, but I do think it's possible. I mean, honestly, it has to be possible. We're not running a wiring harness like that. Also, I don't think we're gonna be able to run the factory fuel rail because of the rear crossover, but we have plenty of room under the blower here. So I think there's a world where we can flip this and have the rear crossover in the front. I did it. No more engine harness in the way. Look at that. I was able to route it back and zip tie it against this factory metal retainer. I don't really know what that thing does, but it's awesome for holding harnesses out of the way of Hellcat blowers. I unraveled a little back there, removed some of the corrugation to make it more pliable, and I was able to move the harness around to the sides. So we'll mint this out later once the blower's on, but right now the blower's got a good path. So next up, we're gonna install our steam ports. Look at this nice kit I got. First, we're gonna install all 4 of the steam port blocks, and these are shims with O-rings built into them. And so that just fits in like so. And then they give you some nice stainless hardware to install. It's gonna look really nice. All right, let's tighten these guys down. And we'll have these on all 4 corners and in the back where it's most important. Click, click, click. Next, we're gonna install 4 90s at each one of the block fittings, and I installed some PTFE thread sealant, and we'll just screw these on. Oh, look at that. With all of our 90s installed, we can start with our lines. These are labeled, so we have passenger front. This is the passenger front, and these are compression fittings, so we don't need to use any kind of tape or paste. I have all these tubes where they're supposed to be, and I've built this. This is the center manifold, but yeah, none of this is looking like it's gonna line up. Like, this thing is so far. I mean, I do have to turn these a little bit, but they say these should be straight, and they're straight. They don't fit. I think I'm gonna be doing some bending. Well, I had to bend that one quite a bit. I have 3 of these on, and I mean, look at this one. That's crazy. I'm gonna try turning this in more like that, and then I pretty much just have to bend this line. That's all right. Well, I got it, but I had to basically rebend each one of those lines by hand. It fits, so some of them needed to have a wider radius, some of them a shorter radius, but it's on. You know what, I probably should have plugged in these knock sensors first, no biggie. Still get them in here. Slide these around our pipes. All right, push this seal in. Cool. And then one more out of our way pipe. And I'll push this down too. Get in there. There we go. Okay, all right, so knock sensors, that's good. We're all done, we're all done. Final piece of the puzzle was the center tube, and that is eventually gonna get connected to our factory hose. And that's it, kind of a pain in the butt, but well worth it because it'll bleed off all of the steam on the top of the cylinder heads. That way we have good coolant flow and there are no hot spots which can cause detonation and issues. With this done, next we have to swap out our balancer because we need to go to an LSA balancer that's gonna have the rib for the AC for the main drive, and then, you know, one for that, the blower. So that's the balancer from an LSA car, like a second gen CTS-V or a ZL1 Camaro. Wow, this AC tensioner, pretty weak, I must say. I might want to swap that out. Look at that. I could push that down with my hands. Let's get this belt off, regardless. Worry about that tensioner later. Oh, man. That's horrible. Yeah, pulley's not the best either. Now we can remove our crank bolt with the impact. All right, here's our bolt. All right, right now I am removing the balancer with a 3-jaw puller. You can see the shiny part of the snout there. It's about halfway out. And I like to put a piece of foam in front of the radiator whenever you're working on something like this, just in case your tool slips off or something. You don't want to damage that. Oh, it's coming off, almost. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sometimes that just falls out. Well, we got the balancer off, but the new balancer was supposed to be here today and it's not, so let's just move on to lots of other things, like installing our new pulley on the supercharger. So the reason we need this is a 10-rib pulley from the factory, and we are going with an 8-rib. Unfortunately, swapping this pulley is kind of a big ordeal. We have to take the lid off, so we'll undo all the screws. We also have to take this snout off as well. But honestly, this gives us a chance to look inside, because this is a used blower. It came off of a 24 TRX that was probably in a wreck. I just got it on eBay. They say it only has 8,000 miles, but it's still a good thing to look at it. And all the bolts loose. There we go, now it's coming up. Oh, breaking the seal probably for the first time. Come on, baby. Okay, just pulled all the screws out so we don't lose any of those. There we go, all right. Lower lid coming off. Oh, we got a seal. We gotta be careful with that. Here we go, here we go. Nice, so far, so go. Whoa, what is this? What is this? What is this? Oh, do we have mice in here? Oh yeah, we had to have had mice in here. That's not good. That wasn't in the lid though. That was like just here. Huh, all right. I guess this thing was probably sitting around somewhere for a while, maybe a boneyard. Great, inside of our blower. This is looking good. Look at the precision there, that's crazy. So these have 2 intercoolers, a very nice setup. This works very well. I actually use these Hellcat intercoolers on my C63 AMG Whipple supercharger because they work so well. We're gonna take the bypass adapter off. 3 bolts there, don't drop any. And that pops right off, and that has a seal as well. Now we can get to this bolt here. That was the reason we needed to take that off. It wouldn't have come out otherwise, but now we're tacking all the other snout bolts. Our swivel in here. Stay. All right, let's pull these bolts out. We should be able to remove the snout now. Okay, one more bolt. Okay, we should be able to pull this right off. Oh, she's coming out. All right, cool. All right, there is our snout. When you're pulling the snout off, these can come out, these little bushings, so just make sure they don't. So I have the snout in the vise, and our special tool is holding this end. And then there's another special tool, which is basically a gigantic Allen that goes in like that. Now we can take this off. Like so, cool. Bam! All right, there's our factory supercharger pulley. I actually have 2 of these now because I swapped out the one on my white Charger Hellcat. So I don't know if these are worth anything, but I got stock pulleys. We're gonna put a little Loctite in this adapter, and then this threads on like so. I'm just gonna bring this all the way down until it bottoms out like that. And now we have a 25mm wrench. Can't tell you the last time I've used a 25. It's kind of a weird size, right? Probably standard or something, but it fits well. Click. So we're gonna install our LSA pulley, and this is the same diameter, so I don't think it's gonna change much as far as boost. That is gonna sit right here. We gotta line it up, and then we have lots of tiny screws that I've applied some Loctite on as well. All our little screws are tight, and I've removed our specialty tool, so she's ready to go back on. I must say, it does look a little weird, but this is what it's supposed to look like, where you can see the bearing. Obviously, this big pulley covered all of that, but we need this for our spacing to be right here where it needs to line up with the new balancer. All right, so now we can go back together, making sure to line the snout up like that. Couple love taps, perfect. All right, this is torqued, this is back on. Now we can reinstall the lid, and we have a couple more things to do to this blower before it's almost ready to go back on. Almost. Now, as much as I want to run our Hellcat throttle body, it's going to be much easier to run an LS2 GM throttle body. So we're going to remove this. Should pop right off like that. But this is a wonderful 92mm throttle body, but it's got a lot of pins and would take a lot of working with to make work with the factory computer on the Sierra from 2005. So we're just gonna make this a little bit easier on us. Here is our LS throttle body adapter, and it only goes on one way like that. Tighten this guy up and give it some Alex clicks. Click. Not too much. All aluminum, baby. I need that much force. Our new throttle body still hasn't arrived. No biggie. We can put that on once the blower is back on the engine. And we do have a few other things for prep before this gets permanently bolted in. So this is off of a TRX, and what's nice about that is it has a lower profile water block in the back that connects to the intercooler. There was a bleeder here since this is the highest point in the system. We'll never be able to get to that once it's installed in the Sierra. So I installed a nice stainless braided line, and we'll put the bleeder at the end of here. So we'll have a remote bleeder for the intercooler system. Something else they give you with the ICT kit are a bunch of block off plates like this. There's one right there as well. Another one somewhere, but basically this car has a bajillion map sensors and intake air temperature sensors. It's crazy how much Mopar was monitoring the boost pressure and the air intake temperature on the Hellcat blower. Now, one of those sensors went here, and this is a great boost reference because it's going right into the cylinder head. But we're gonna run an LSA GM 3-bar map sensor. So again, off like a CTS V, and it's gonna fit in the stock location. So nice and pretty looking. The only thing is the bolt hole doesn't quite line up. It's almost there. So what I'm gonna try and do is drill this out. See if that gets us any closer. Drilling it heated this up enough so we can slide out the roll pin inside. There we go. I had to oblong this a little bit, but check out this. Bam. And a bolt fits in here now perfectly. Look at that. Just a wee bit of a tighten, and we are done. We have an LSA 3-bar map sensor that looks totally factory. So we got a Chrysler Star, it says turbo for some reason, another Chrysler Star, and then right in between, GM. One last thing to complicate the installation of this blower would be the fact that I'm running like 50 feet of coolant hose for the intercooler because we'll never be able to get to these clamps, so I had to do this now. What I want to do next is remove the wipers and the cowl. I'm gonna remove some 13s. I got the wiper blades off and all of the clips. This should come off now. Actually, let's go this way with it. All right, cowl is out. Sweet. Now with the cowl out, I want to do some cleaning, and then I want to do some protecting. Oh, and check this out. I added a little seal inside of here. I think that looks mint. Now, because we had to cut for the supercharger, I don't want this to be totally open. This is supposed to be a channel for water. And I mean, it's a pickup, so it's not perfect, but that channel just ends right there and then just dumps water down the side of the fender. So it's not exactly like a super precise system with tubes or anything on the old GMT 800. But check this out. At the local hardware store for 30 bucks, we got PCV shower liner. So this is a very flexible but totally waterproof membrane, and we're gonna glue this in. So I've already kind of mocked a piece up and made some cuts, and that way we can place this in there as soon as we're done cleaning. All right, let's vacuum this thing up. Oh yeah. All right, now we'll go around with our release. We're gonna clean the inside and the outside. Oh yeah, look at this beautiful factory blue. Oh, it's so nice. Too bad it'll be covered up. All right, I've got this pretty clean. Let me show you what I'm thinking here. So this will slide in from the bottom, like so. We're gonna kind of wrap it up. This flap is gonna come in here. So it'll go down with our cowl. And so will this one here. And then in the middle, that in like that. So basically something like this, but glued in. And then obviously once it's glued in and sealed, all the water will still flow outward, but this is flexible, so we'll be able to install the blower, and this will just kind of be in the place that we need it to be. So speaking of that, I'm not gonna glue anything in until we have the blower in. So let's get the blower in, like for real, like bolt it in, and it's in for the rest of time until I feel like ripping this motor apart or something, I don't know. All right, our fully loaded Hellcat blower going in. All right, here we go, people. Blower going in. Oh, this coolant hose is horrible. Yep, there we go. Oh, this stinks. All right, we got it down flat. Okay. I gotta say, with this open, it's actually kind of nice, but now that we have these hoses, hopefully these clear. I don't know. We might have to route them in here. These coolant hoses are gonna work out just fine. We were able to sneak them back there. So the blower's in position, and we can get to like 80% of the bolts, except 2 of them, are covered up by our cowl. You can see one right in there. So I'll have to drill 2 holes so we can install and tighten our bolts, and then I'll just put 2 little push-in grommets. And if you guys are wondering if I could have lowered the engine in order to not cut up the cowl, the answer is maybe. So I did find some engine mounts that would lower the engine about 1 inch, but they're solid mounts. You can't fit any bushings in these mounts. So you would feel all the vibration from the engine inside, and I don't want that. This is gonna be like a nice, it's daily driver. It's gotta be a legit street cars with no, weird stuff like that. But also this thing has like 180,000 miles on it. So wherever our engine mounts are right now, they probably already sunk down, and they tell you it drops in 1 inch from new motor mounts. So it probably would have only given us a 1/2 inch, and we needed over 1 inch. So it wouldn't have worked anyway. But now, because of our cutout, all of this back here is now serviceable. We wouldn't have been able to do that before. And we're gonna seal it up, so it's gonna be great. So I can go ahead and start putting in some of our bolts like that. This way we'll get the blower perfectly lined up for our holes. I had to make 2 holes. One had to be elongated in order to fit the bolt and a tool in. And this is the only tool that will fit in here so we can tighten this up. So that one's good. All right, service ports, people, service ports. And actually our membrane will totally cover those, so we don't even really have to plug them. And I'm just going around tightening them. Most of them are easy. And there's 2 on the driver's side that we can tighten now because of our little access panel. So this is dual purpose. It's there to clear the blower, but also so we can service a lot of stuff. We actually technically didn't even need the remote bleeder anymore, but that'll still be nice to be able to bleed this without having to take the cowl out. If you guys were curious about the wiper linkage, we didn't even need to grind anything. It's super far away. All right, so this guy is all tightened up, fully installed, clearance, and it honestly looks to be about half the size of the entire engine. This is quite the sight, let me tell you. I glued in the membrane, so she is on there, and the cowl will hold down these bits, but I have weights on here just to kind of make everything cure in place. But when you're just normally looking at the engine, you don't see any of that. This actually kind of looks factory, especially once we get the cowl over, it'll be hanging over the blower even more. So overall, I'm pretty happy. Now to get this bad boy to spin, we have to install an LSA balancer, and before we do that, I want to replace this crank seal. So I cleaned up the front cover. This was pretty nasty before, and now it looks much, much more presentable. I think the valley plate leaking was just kind of leaking oil all over the front of the engine. All right, let's see if we can get this guy out of here. A little pry bar action. There we go, nice and easy. Thank you, seal. You might have 180,000 miles on you. You're looking good. Here's our brand new GM front crank seal. We're gonna place it in, and then I'm just using a random oil filter wrench that fits over the snout and on top of our seal. I'll hit it in with a hammer. And just like that, our front crank seal is done. And check out what came in the mail, our brand new LSA balancer. So you can see here, it has provisions for 3 belts, including an 8-rib belt for a supercharger. Now, this balancer being from a factory supercharged car is keyed, but that keyway is meant to have a factory key inside of a crank that has been pre-drilled like the factory LSA cars. As you can see, our crankshaft is not keywayed at all. And we're gonna do that with this kit. This is a complete keying kit, and we're actually gonna double keyway our crank and balancer. So we're gonna put this in like so. And then once we're all set up, we're gonna drill into not only the balancer in 2 spots, but also the crank. But the first step is to install the balancer. LSA balancer going in. This is one big hefty piece, let me tell you. Now we're gonna place it on top of the crank like that. Man, that is serious. That is very serious. And I already see an issue that I kind of predicted, but the truck AC compressor sits way far out, and you can see it's gonna need to go on this rib eventually, but that's for another day. So we're gonna fully install this balancer using this special tool. So this is gonna thread into the crank, and then this has a bearing, and it's going to spin and suck it in. You guys remember, we had to pull this off because it's press fit. So we'll screw that in. And this tool is a total lifesaver, guys. We're gonna get this to bottom out right there. Perfect. You don't really need to tighten that or go crazy. And now we'll spin this in, and it'll make contact with the inside of the balancer like that. Now it's as simple as drawing in the balancer with a ratchet and socket. This is by far the best way to do this. So it's best not to use a hammer on a balancer to push it on, especially this one, because this thing was like $800. All right, the LSA balancer is very expensive, let me tell you. Almost there. Okay, bam, that's it. Okay, perfect. Now we can go ahead and remove the tool, and I'm quite winded right now, I must say. So first I want to locate where the factory keyway is. We do not want to drill there. So I'll position this away like that. And then we're going to install the supplied holding bolt. This will thread right into the crankshaft. We do not want this to spin while we're drilling. All right, I will tighten this up nice and snug like that. And that way this isn't gonna move around. We're gonna spray a little bit of oil before we drill. This guy too. All right, now we can use our drill bit and drill into our crank and our really expensive harmonic balancer. Get a little oil in here periodically. This thing's fighting pretty good. Oh yeah, it's going in. After lots and lots of drilling, it's time for some pins. So in they go. All right, I got the other one in as well. So there you go. It is double pinned and ready for our balancer bolt. I gotta say, the double pin makes me feel really, really good, especially with that gigantic blower up there. So we'll get this balancer bolt on and torqued. Balancer bolt is done. Let's get some brackets on. With our harmonic balancer fully installed, we can start to install some really nice looking brackets. So this is gonna hold our 8-rib belt tensioner. Tighten these guys up. Next up, we have not one, but 2 super shiny brackets that are actually gonna kind of go together. So we're gonna put a bolt through one, and then a spacer, and then the bracket like that, ×4. We have this contraption fully built, now ready to install onto the driver's side cylinder head. There are factory holes in the head, and we're gonna utilize them. All right, so screw this all together. It's kind of difficult. Gotta hold them all so they don't fall. I think we're at least started. Yes, we are started. Sweet, so this is gonna be where our alternator goes, and on the bottom is the power steering pump. Go ahead and tighten these guys up. And there's one on the bottom as well. That's sweet, guys. That is so nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm like excited about this whole situation right here, but that looks cool too. It's now time for our LS3 water pump. So this is gonna have the outlet on the other side, so it's not kind of blocking up where we need to put our tensioner and belt and everything. So this is going on with some fresh gaskets. This also has the proper spacing. Everything on the truck kind of sits out further. Get these bolts started like that. Draw these in with the gun. And we don't want any problems, so we'll give this a nice torque. All right, perfect. You know what time it is. Cowbell time.
I could have used a little more cowbell.
Now we have this bracket that bolts up to our LS3 water pump. Bam. This is gonna be our main accessory drive tensioner. All right, so we'll start this guy by hand there. And then from the back, we have another bolt that threads in this way. That'll be for the adjustment. So this won't have a spring anymore. This will be manually adjusted. All right, we're just gonna leave this loose for now until we get our accessory drive belt on one day. But we are mostly concerned with our supercharger belt, and we need a tensioner here too. This is a bracket that we're gonna use for some idler pulleys. And it's gonna go somewhere in here, maybe? Oh yeah, this is in our way. We need that to swing up. I knew I was gonna drop one of those. Darn it. Let's start with one. Oh, no. Oh my gosh. Can I just do one? I had 4. I had high hopes, people. All right, I got one. Yay. I can do it. All right, there's 2. Found the bolts underneath. Now we can do them one by one. Take your time, people. Take your time. That's not the right size. It's actually a 5mm. There you go. Next up, we have some very beautiful idler pulleys. Look at these things, so nice. And we have a spacer that's gonna slide in like that. And it's gonna go in right here. Wow, that is so nice. And we have another one of these beauties up top. Nice. All right, pulleys are done. Next, we have our gigantic blower tensioner. There's 2 holes in the bracket, so we can install this 2 different ways. I'm just gonna go with the straight up and we'll just see if our belt works. So I believe all the Hellcats had a green supercharger belt, and I found this actually upstairs, and I think it'll work. This may have been off of my Hellcat, I don't really remember, but it's a Fleet Runner made in the USA. It seems like it belongs here. I'll eventually get a new one, so it's like nice and clean looking, but hopefully this works. I have a bunch of belts upstairs, so I'd love for the green one to be the one. Gotta have this facing forward, yes. So around the crank, around this tensioner. So then we'll go around this way, I think, and then something maybe like that. No, what am I doing wrong? It looks cool, but that's not right. That's too loose, unless it's the wrong belt, but hang on. All right, we found a picture on the ICT site. Yeah, this is way better. Okay, cool. Oh, this is gonna work because we haven't done anything with the tensioner yet. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, that feels good. Fix this up. Should be good. Oh man, is this on? Oh, this is on, guys. Where are we at here? I think that looks good. Should be the right amount of tension. It's spring loaded. So this is a mechanical tensioner for the main drive, and this is spring loaded. I kind of wish this was spring loaded as well, but it's probably a space issue. So here's our new throttle body. It's actually an LS3 throttle body, and it can mount only 2 ways, and I think I'm gonna have it mount with this going kind of up. I think that'll be our best bet. Get these bolts going. I love using new parts. This looks so good. I extended the wiring on the factory throttle body connector, and I think I'm gonna run it just down below. We have so much room under here, which is awesome. And then I can kind of come up over here, but this is very important. We have to use this X-Link connector. ICT has this, and basically the reason, because the factory Sierra electronic throttle body blade, it moves one way, where if we had the polarity the same, it would move the other way, but there's a little bit more as far as feedback, so they actually have a logic board in here to make this all work. So basically this adapter is not just simply wires, it has a little circuit in there and a controller that will make this communicate and operate properly. And can I plug it in? Yes. All right, cool, so that's that. And then we plug it in here, and then yeah, we'll kind of like probably tuck this away somewhere like that. Probably made this one too long, but that's good. So at this point, the engine is ready to start with our Hellcat blower, except I've heard that some engines like fuel, and we don't have any fuel going to this, like at all. Now, this is the factory fuel rail, and it has a crossover in the rear, which maybe I could have fit, but regardless, I want to run a full return system, and the factory Hellcat is returnless, and this rail on eBay sells for like 500 bucks, so I'm gonna sell that because I just spent $500 on bigger aftermarket rails for the Hellcat. And this is a little crazy, but I had to grind this down. I test fit these with the injectors, and they weren't gonna seal properly. They weren't pushed down all the way, so I had to grind these down, which I thought was weird considering these fuel rails are for a Hellcat, but whatever, I think they're gonna work. And I made a fuel line also. Now, before we install our new fuel rails, we wanna test our what should be brand new injectors. Supposedly the Hellcat blower and the injectors had about 8,000 miles from a 24 TRX. Well, let's find out with a little high-speed test before we put them in. So we have this around the factory PSI, and I'll close this, and these guys are going to race, and we want them to be as equal as possible. Amazing spray pattern though on this. So I mean, this is pretty much the pinnacle of port fuel injection. This is one of the last like modern cars to have port fuel injection. Everything went to direct injected. So in all of human history, this is the best that we made. I don't know about that one. That one looks a lot different than the other ones. I don't like that one at all. Look at that, it's only squirting out of like half. Or actually, is that normal? Actually, it might have had like a front to it where it was like a fan in the front part of it. That could have been it. Yeah, and this injector is not straight, so yeah, that could have been. We'll retest with all of these in the same direction. But right off the bat, they are pretty equal. So this is a good test for like gross errors, but this isn't by any means considered to be like flowing an injector for perfection. So we will have it off a little bit just due to leakage in the beakers and stuff like that, because this isn't like that crazy of a tool. But this is looking really, really nice. Anyway, let's strain this down. Now that I have all these straight, I just want to look at that spray pattern again. There we go. So these three look normal. This was the one kind of in question. I don't know if you guys can see this, but in the back, it looks like almost it's partially clogged. These other ones they look more complete. Let's pull this guy out and take a look. Look at that, this one does have a little bit of damage actually. All right, I put the three good ones to the side. This one's been banished. Let's take a look at these. These guys look to be all in pretty good shape. I like these spray patterns a lot. I think we might be good, guys. I put the questionable injector in this beaker so it's straightforward and it doesn't have the gauge in the way, because then we had to clock it. And I believe this spray pattern is fine. This is running a little bit low, but the spray pattern just kind of shoots forward on all of the injectors, and the amount of fuel that they're putting in the beakers are very, very close to each other. So yeah, I don't think there's gonna be any issues with any of these injectors. Some of this is gonna be temporary because I'm gonna revamp the whole fuel system in the next video. But anyway, let's get some injectors on here. Got some MB sunroof grease on these O-rings, and our injectors are going right in. Very nice. Injectors going in. I do like how this rail looks. That's good. Supposedly this thing flows a ton more than the factory rail too. Here we go, here we go. Yeah. All right, gonna shimmy these around. Should be good. All right, we'll tighten up our nice little stainless Allens. Click. This rail is a little bit easier to do, ironically, even though this has all the coolant tubes. There we go. Nice and easy. With the fuel rails on, we have a front crossover piece. This is all 8AN. Thread that on there. And we'll thread this side on here. Give these a little snug and we're good. So this is the temporary part. That's our factory feed. And we have it going to our 8AN. That's all gonna get much bigger. Now we do need injector adapters to make it work with the HELLCAT injector connector. So those clip right onto our HELLCAT injectors and then right into our factory connectors like that. Fuel rail's all done. Last thing to do is a tune. So we're using HP tuners and Jeremy over at Cetera is gonna be tuning this. So he is the king at tuning all of the Mopars and the Hellcats. And he also does GM tuning and this is both. So eventually we'll make it on the dyno with Jeremy, but for now he's just sending us a base tune with our injectors and all of the mods that we have done. So we should be able to start this thing up. It's actually like about a 15-minute tune, but we got our MPVI-3 going to work. With the tune in there, it's time, guys. It's time for the first start of my 2005 GMC Sierra Quadrasteer with a HELLCAT Supercharger. Here we go, people. Here we go. First start with a blower. Come on, baby, come on, baby, come on. Run this thing again. All right, let's see. Everything looks fine. It should start up. We have our throttle body connected. We might just need another prime here of the fuel system. Let's just try it again. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Huh. I unplugged the X-Link connector. I'm just gonna plug in the factory throttle body and we're just gonna like place it over here. That's fine. This is essentially just blocking it off so it's not wide open throttle and I don't know. Let's see what happens there. Come on, come on, come on, come on. I hooked up the jumpers, reconnected the throttle body the right way, primed it a bunch of times. Let's see what happens now. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, it's alive, it's alive. Yes. Oh, she's struggling, she's struggling. But we have an LS engine spinning a HELLCAT blower, no way. Stay alive, buddy, stay alive. I know you're learning. Ah, it wants to make the noise. Come on, baby, come on. Ah, no. All right, well, that was a base file. We're missing the intake air temperature sensor and probably a few other things for it to run well, but I'll send Jeremy some logs of our startup so he can make some adjustments and you know what? We gotta do this again though. All right, let's go again. Let's see if we can keep it alive. It starts right up, I must say, I must say. It wants to do HELLCAT stuff. Ah! This thing is gonna scream. What does an LS sound like with a HELLCAT Supercharger? I mean, it's gotta just sound basically like a HELLCAT, right? I don't know. Let me give this a try. Oh! Yes! Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Yes! It won't idle, but whatever, it makes HELLCAT sounds. This is ridiculous. All right, hang on. I want to try and make something really cinematic here with this blower. Was that cinematic, guys? I don't know. I don't know, we turned the lights off and everything. All right, guys, this is pretty much it. Like the next episode, we're doing so much fuel system, intercooler system, and like a million fans. We're doing electric fans. And I got this sweet Holley alternator. Hang on. I just gotta like, can you guys just all move into the shop with me and we can just do this together? I can't wait to show you the next episode. But anyway, there's gonna be an alternator that looks like that. Hang on, I should end this video now, but I'm just gonna give it all, or well, not all of it. We have so much to do. Check this out. Check this out. This is the intercooler tank, and look at the pump on the bottom. And I think we're gonna like poke a hole in the battery tray and have this all secretive underneath and this on top. And I don't know, who knows what else. I'm just, man, this project is awesome. I gotta end this video in front of this. I'm just gonna be staring at this and taking pictures and like sending them to all my friends and stuff. I'm so excited. But this next one, it may not be consecutive because there's so many little things. Like this was a ton of work. This took me all week and we had lots of issues with like running into parts that we needed and having to get them one day aired and stuff like that. So the next one is so involved that it might take me a little bit longer. But don't worry, I just bought a car yesterday, total impulse buy on something. It's orange, it's got turbos and stuff. Take a guess down below. So that might be coming next. I don't know, guys. I'm just super excited about this and I hope you are as well. And I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs, not double thumbs up, because if you do it once and then again, it takes it away and then you got to do it again. So just do 1 or 3 and share the video with your friends and family. Subscribe to the channel if for some insane reason you haven't already. It's a free little button down there, and it is the best way to support Legit Street Cars and all the craziness that we do here. Oh, I'm gonna treat this Hellcat blower so nicely. Oh, this is a wash mitt that gets you double points to win my GLS 63. How did that get here? I don't know. Most importantly, above all of that, I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll see each and every one of you in the next video. I'm gonna replace this valley plate gasket next. I'm not. It's not the right size. I did some unraveling. I did a little bit of unraveling. I unraveled a little back there. So that'd be a balancer from like a CTS V. So that'd be the same balancer that's on a CTS V. So that's the LSA balancer. So that's the LSA balancer like you'd see on a CTS V. So that's the balancer from an LSA car. Oh, come on. Hey Max, this is just a B-roll of how nasty this is. B-roll, 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 it's so nasty, look at that, ew. But right off the bat, right off the bat. Yeah, this really isn't anything common what am I saying?